welcome to the Deep Dive. We're your shortcut to getting genuinely well-informed. We take stacks of research, articles, notes, and basically distill it all down into the most potent, sometimes surprising bits of knowledge. Today, we're diving headfirst into the really fascinating, pretty intricate world of human reproduction. Our mission is to unpack the anatomy, the physiology behind it, and crucially, the hormonal control that makes it all work, drawing on the sources we've looked at.
And, this isn't just biology for biology's sake, though it is fascinating. Understanding these basics is just so critical because it's the foundation, really, for getting how different medicines work, especially, fertility treatments or hormone regulation drugs.
Right.
We're trying to give you the why behind the what when you look at these treatments. It's pretty powerful knowledge to have.
Exactly. Think of this deep dive as, I guess, pulling back the curtain on one of life's most fundamental systems. We've got insights you might not just stumble across. Okay, let's get into it. Let's start untangling this incredibly complex, but also really elegant system.
Yeah.
So maybe we should start right at the source, the primary sex organs.
Good place to start.
In males, that's the testes.
Yeah.
In females, the ovaries. Their main job, their crucial job, is making the gametes, sperm, and eggs. The absolute building blocks for reproduction.
Yeah, spot on. And while those primary organs make the gametes, you absolutely need the secondary sex organs for natural reproduction to actually happen.
Okay.
For males, we're talking glands, ducts, the penis. For females, it's the uterine tubes. People often call them fallopian tubes. The uterus and the vagina. Without all those pieces, natural reproduction just isn't really feasible.
Got it. Okay, well, let's zoom in a bit. Maybe focus on the male system first, starting with the testes. Their whole job description, like you said, is gametogenesis, making sperm cells. And this happens inside these tiny coiled tubes called seminiferous tubules.
Seminiferous tubules, exactly. And inside, it's like this specialized little world. There's a real division of labor. You've got Leydig cells, sometimes called interstitial cells, around the tubules. They make testosterone.
Okay, the main male hormone.
Right. And then inside the tubules, you have Sertoli cells. Think of them like support columns or scaffolding.
Okay.
They stretch through the tubule. They support the developing sperm, make fluid, control when sperm get released into the middle, the lumen, and they even make a hormone called inhibin.
Inhibin? What does that do?
It acts like a brake.
Yeah.
Helps slow down sperm production if needed. It's part of that feedback loop we'll probably talk about later.
Ah, clever. So it's like a precise assembly line then. Sperms start developing near that Sertoli cell scaffolding.
Near the edge, the basement membrane.
Right. And as they mature, they actually move towards the center, towards that hollow space, the lumen.
Exactly. And once they're fully developed, they get released into that lumen. Those Sertoli cells are absolutely essential for guiding that whole process, making sure sperm develop correctly.
Okay, makes sense. And speaking of development and support, the scrotum, that sac of skin holding the testes.
Right, divided by a septum.
What's its main role besides just holding them?
Oh, its function is way more critical than just being a container. It's actually, really smart biological engineering. It has smooth muscle, the cremaster muscle specifically, and its job is maintaining the perfect temperature for making sperm.
Right, I remember reading it needs to be slightly cooler than body temperature.
Precisely. About 2 degrees Celsius cooler than the body's 37 degrees. That muscle, the cremaster, it reflexively tightens up when it's cold or during arousal.
Pulling the testes closer to the body for warmth.
Exactly. To regulate that temperature, it's actually a key point of vulnerability for male fertility, shows how sensitive sperm production is to temperature changes.
So a built-in thermostat. Pretty sophisticated.
Great.
Okay, so sperm are made, temperature controlled. Where do they go next? To mature and wait.
Oh.
That brings us to the epididymis, right?
The epididymis, yes.
Yeah.
It's the primary storage site. Think of it as their staging ground.
Staging ground, I like that.
About 90% of sperm hang out there,
Yeah.
basically ready to go. And what's impressive is they can stay viable, alive, and incubating for quite a while.
How long?
Anywhere from 40 to 60 days, so up to 2 months.
2 months, wow.
Yeah. And if they aren't ejaculated in that time, the body just reabsorbs them, no harm done. It's also why, say, after a vasectomy, someone might still have viable sperm in the ejaculate for a couple of months. The system needs time to clear out the stored ones.
That makes total sense. Okay, fascinating storage system. Now, we've covered the male side pretty well up to this point, but reproduction takes two. Let's shift focus to the female system, starting with the ovaries and egg production, which I understand is quite different from sperm production.
Oh, absolutely different. The ovaries are the primary female gonads, like the tests in males. Their main job is oogenesis making and maturing egg cells. But here's a key difference. Males make sperm continuously pretty much throughout their adult life. Females, they're born with all the eggs they'll ever have.
Really, all of them. From birth.
Yep, although they're immature initially. These eggs, or oocytes, start maturing during puberty. And typically, only one mature egg gets released each month. That process is called ovulation.
So a finite supply and a monthly cycle. Okay. Once that egg is released from the ovary, where does it go? What's its path?
That takes us to the fallopian tubes, or uterine tubes. They stretch from near the ovaries towards the uterus. And this is usually where fertilization happens, if it's going to happen.
Inside the tube.
Usually, yes. The tubes have these tiny little hair-like things called cilia. They help sweep the egg along towards the uterus. But the egg's window is incredibly short. Once it's released, it's only viable for about 12 to 24 hours.
Only a day. Wow.
Yeah, very brief. A fertilization does occur in the tube. The fertilized egg, now it's called an embryo, travels down the rest of the tube and into the uterus.
Okay. And the uterus itself, what's its specific role?
The uterus is this amazing, muscular, pear-shaped organ. It's designed specifically to house and nourish a developing fetus. Its inner lining, the endometrium, gets thicker every month, preparing just in case a pregnancy starts.
Ah, right.
If conception doesn't happen, that lining is shed. That's menstruation. If it does happen, the uterus is the perfect environment for the embryo to implant and grow for 9 months.
And the vagina?
The vagina serves a few roles. It's the birth canal, obviously, but it's also where sperm are deposited during intercourse. So yeah, just like the male system, it's a whole series of connected parts, each one with a critical job.
Incredible how specialized it all is. Okay, so we have sperm, we have eggs, we have the pathways. Let's clear up something people often mix up. Sperm versus semen.
Ah, yes. Good one. Very common misconception.
People use them interchangeably, but they're definitely not the same thing, are they?
Not at all. Semen is the fluid that's expelled during ejaculation. It contains sperm, yes, but it's packed with loads of other crucial stuff, all designed to help the sperm survive and succeed.
So semen is the delivery vehicle and support system.
Exactly. It's a really smart setup. A masterclass in biological engineering, honestly, designed to give sperm the absolute best shot. Let's break it down. Obviously, you've got the sperm themselves. They carry the genetic material. They have a tail for swimming, mitochondria packed in there for energy ATP to power that swimming.
Right.
The DNA is in the head, and there's a special enzyme cap on the very tip.
What's that for?
That helps dissolve the egg's outer layer, helps it get in for fertilization.
Okay, makes sense. What else is in semen?
Well, fructose, that's sugar, basically.
Okay.
Pure energy for sperm motility, powering their journey. Then you have prostaglandins. These are really interesting. They cause tiny, minor contractions in the female reproductive tract in the uterus, for instance, to actually help draw the semen and the sperm within it upwards towards the egg, like a gentle pull.
Wow, okay. That's subtle.
It is. Then there are clotting and anticoagulant factors. This is super clever. Semen actually clots right after ejaculation, kind of like blood does,
Why would it clot?
to help keep it pooled together in the vagina, preventing it from just leaking out immediately. But then, after maybe 15 to 30 minutes, anticoagulant factors kick in and liquefy it again.
Free the sperm.
Exactly, freeing the sperm to start swimming. It's a timed release, basically. Helps keep them housed near the cervix for as long as possible. And finally, there's spermine.
Spermine.
It's a base. The vagina is naturally somewhat acidic, which isn't great for sperm survival. Spermine makes the environment more alkaline, less acidic, and that significantly boosts sperm survival chances. It's like creating a custom-made, welcoming environment.
That is an incredible cocktail. It's just highly engineered for one critical mission. And the numbers involved are just staggering. You mentioned one ejaculation is about 2.5 to 5 milliliters of semen, and there can be 50 to 120 million sperm per ml.
That's right.
So doing the math,
Yeah,
that could be up to, what, 600 million sperm released at once?
easily. Sometimes more.
And yet, despite that huge number, only one sperm is needed to fertilize the egg. It feels like nature's most extreme lottery.
It absolutely does. Although, it's worth noting there's a threshold. Generally, if sperm count drops below about 20 million per milliliter, that usually indicates clinical sterility. Natural conception becomes very difficult.
Okay, good point. So I've got the sperm, the semen cocktail. Let's talk about the actual events in the male sexual response.
Yeah.
Two key things, right? Erection for penetration and ejaculation for expelling the semen.
Correct. Erection is mainly about blood flow. Those sponge-like tissues in the penis, the corpora cavernosa, fill rapidly with blood, causing them to swell and become rigid.
Okay.
And we should probably mention the urethra, again, that tube running through the penis. It carries both urine and semen, but obviously not at the same time.
Right. How does the body manage that?
During ejaculation, there's a mechanism that basically shuts off the opening from the bladder, prevents urine from mixing with semen. Another example of neat biological plumbing.
Very neat. And ejaculation itself, how is that triggered?
That's controlled by the sympathetic nervous system. It involves rapid, rhythmic contractions of muscles at the base of the penis, forcefully propelling the semen out.
Got it. But even with all that force and those millions of sperm, you mentioned the viability window is tight.
Extremely tight. It really highlights how critical timing is for conception. Sperm, once they're in the female tract, are generally viable for about 2 days, maximum.
And the egg.
Even shorter, only 12 to 24 hours after ovulation. So that window where fertilization can actually happen is really quite brief each month.
It's amazing conception happens at all sometimes.
Well, that's why releasing hundreds of millions helps.
Yeah.
But yeah, out of all those millions, maybe only about 100 sperm even get close to the egg, and typically just one makes it through. Abundance, but incredible selectivity.
Incredible. And after ejaculation, there's something called the refractory period.
Yes. That's a recovery phase. It can last anywhere from, say, 10 minutes to a few hours, depending on the individual and age and other factors. During that time, achieving another erection and orgasm just isn't possible. The system needs a bit of a reset, a physiological pause.
Like a system reboot. Makes sense.
Okay.
Okay, so we've covered the plumbing, the cells, the fluids, the timing.
Yeah.
But none of this works without the master control system, right? The endocrine system and hormones.
Absolutely critical. Without hormones, reproduction just doesn't happen. Full stop. Producing gametes, regulating cycles, pregnancy, it's all hormone-driven.
So how does that control system work? I know there's an axis involved.
Yes, the classic hypothalamic pituitary gonadal axis, the HPG axis, it's a beautiful example of a biological feedback loop.
Okay, break that down for us. Hypothalamic.
Starts in the brain with the hypothalamus. Think of it as the link between the central nervous system and the endocrine system. It receives signals, and in response, it releases gonadotropin-releasing hormone, GnRH.
GnRH.
Yeah.
Got it. Where does that go?
It travels just a tiny distance down to the pituitary gland, nestled right at the base of the hypothalamus, often called the master gland. The pituitary has two main parts, anterior and posterior. GnRH acts on the anterior pituitary
And stimulates it to do what?
to release two other key hormones, follicle-stimulating hormone, FSH, and luteinizing hormone, LH.
FSH and LH.
Okay. Then, FSH and LH travel through the bloodstream to the gonads, the testes in males, the ovaries in females.
And they trigger?
They trigger the gonads to do their main jobs, including producing the primary sex hormones. Testosterone in males, estrogen or progesterone, mainly in females.
And that's the loop?
Almost. Those sex hormones then feed back to the hypothalamus and the pituitary, telling them to either slow down or speed up GnRH, FSH, and LH release. It's a constant adjustment to keep levels balanced.
A self-regulating system. Very elegant.
Very. And just quickly, the posterior pituitary, the other part, releases hormones like vasopressin and oxytocin. Oxytocin is fascinating, vital for labor contractions, milk release during breastfeeding.
The love hormone.
Yeah, sometimes called that. It plays a role in bonding, like between mother and baby. But the main reproductive control is that HPG axis via the anterior pituitary.
So these sex hormones, testosterone, estrogen, progesterone, they're doing more than just making gametes. They control organ growth, secondary sex characteristics.
Exactly. Things like facial hair in men, breast development in women, fat distribution, even influencing sexual behavior and drive. The reach of the endocrine system here is profound.
Okay, let's zoom in on those key sex hormones themselves. You mentioned testosterone, estrogen, progesterone. What's interesting is how we can use them or manipulate them clinically, starting with GnRH again.
Right, GnRH. As we said, it's released from the hypothalamus, and critically, it's usually released in pulses, little bursts.
The pulses, okay. Why is that important?
Because how we give GnRH clinically dramatically changes its effect. It's fascinating.
How so?
If you give GnRH continuously, like through a pump or a long-acting injection, you'd think it would boost everything, right?
Yeah, sounds logical.
But it actually does the opposite. Continuous GnRH shuts down the pituitary's response. It downregulates the receptors. So FSH and LH levels plummet, and consequently, sex hormone production drops way down.
Why would we want to shut it down?
It's incredibly useful for treating conditions driven by sex hormones. Think certain types of breast cancer or prostate cancer that feed on estrogen or testosterone, or conditions like endometriosis. Shutting down the hormones can stop the disease progression.
Wow. Okay, so continuous shuts it down. What about pulses?
If you mimic the body's natural pattern and give GnRH impulses, maybe via a programmed pump.
Then it stimulates.
Exactly. Then it stimulates the pituitary to release FSH and LH. This is used in fertility treatments. If someone's cycle isn't working properly, pulsable GnRH can help kickstart it, boost hormone production, and hopefully trigger ovulation or sperm production.
That's incredible. The same hormone has opposite effects depending purely on the delivery pattern.
Precisely. It's all about the rhythm and context.
Okay, let's move to estrogen. Primarily female, but present in males too, right? It seems to wear many hats depending on life stage.
Absolutely. In puberty, in females, estrogen drives the growth of the breasts and uterus. It also influences where fat is deposited, often around the hips and thighs. And interestingly, it causes bone arrest. It signals the long bones to stop growing longer. That's why if puberty happens very early, final adult height might be shorter.
Never knew that. What about during the monthly cycle?
Estrogen causes the body to retain a bit more salt and water. That's often behind the bloating some women feel before their period. It also has effects on blood clotting factors.
And in pregnancy.
Hugely important, crucial for maintaining good blood flow to the uterus and placenta. Also key for developing the duct system in the breasts, getting ready for lactation.
What about effects outside the reproductive system, like the brain?
Oh, definitely. Estrogen has significant effects on the central nervous system. It's considered neuroprotective, and it plays a role in cognitive functions like memory. The sharp drop in estrogen during menopause is strongly linked to some of the symptoms women experience, like brain fog, mood changes, hot flashes.
So its decline really impacts things. And therapeutically.
Wide uses, obviously in contraception, often combined with progesterone, used to manage menstrual cycle problems, hormone replacement therapy, or HRT for menopause symptoms and preventing osteoporosis, and sometimes used in managing certain cancers.
Okay, very versatile. Now, progesterone,
Yeah.
also mainly female.
Primarily, yes. Synthesized mainly by the corpus luteum, that structure left behind in the ovary after ovulation. Like estrogen, it's vital. Now, progesterone itself, the natural form, doesn't get absorbed well if you take it orally. Low bioavailability, so it often needs to be given as an injection, or topically like a cream or patch or vaginally.
But there are synthetic versions.
Yes, synthetic progestins. They've been modified, so you can take them orally, or use them in long-acting injections or implants like some contraceptives.
What are its main jobs?
Its biggest role is preparing the uterus for pregnancy. It makes the endometrium, that lining, thick, vascular, and receptive for an embryo to implant. Progestation, essentially.
Makes sense.
It also changes the mucus produced by the cervix, making it thicker and more hostile to sperm. That's a key way some progestin-only contraceptives work, blocking sperm entry. It also preps the breasts for milk production during pregnancy.
Any CNS effects like estrogen?
Yes, it tends to have more sedative or calming effects, also thought to be neuroprotective. But one potential downside with long-term, high-dose use of some synthetic progestins is they can sometimes negatively affect lipid profiles, maybe slightly raise LDL, lower HDL, and can sometimes impact glucose tolerance. Needs monitoring.
Okay. And on the flip side of progesterone, you can block its effects too. You mentioned mifepristone earlier.
Right, mifepristone. It's an anti-progesterone, a progesterone receptor antagonist. It blocks progesterone from working.
And its uses.
Primarily used as part of the regimen for medical termination of early intrauterine pregnancies. Since progesterone is essential to maintain a pregnancy, blocking it is key. It's also used sometimes to help soften or ripen the cervix, for example, to induce labor if there's been a fetal death in utero, or to help expel tissue after an early miscarriage.
Got it. Okay, let's circle back to the main male hormone, testosterone. Produced mainly in the testes, you said.
Primarily, yes. The Leydig cells in the testes make most of it. Small amounts also come from the adrenal cortex, which sits on top of the kidneys, and females actually make a tiny bit in their ovaries and adrenals too.
And its release is pulsed, like GnRH.
Yes, it follows a rhythm. Levels are typically highest in the morning and lower in the evening.
What are its main functions in males?
Well, absolutely essential for spermatogenesis, making sperm. critical for the growth and function of the prostate gland, and vital for erectile function. Those are maybe the core reproductive roles.
But it does more, right? The muscle building stuff.
Wow, yeah. Increases muscle mass and strength, improves bone density, stimulates the production of red blood cells. That's why men tend to have slightly higher hemoglobin levels. It strongly influences libido, sex drive, and can be linked to aggression levels. And of course, it drives those secondary male characteristics: deeper voice, facial, and body hair growth. And ironically, it also contributes to male pattern baldness in susceptible individuals.
Right. So clinically, when is testosterone used?
The main use is replacement therapy for men who have hypogonadism, meaning their tests aren't producing enough testosterone. This could be due to testicular failure, genetic conditions, cancer treatment, etc. Another major use is in gender-affirming care for transgender men, for masculinization. It helps induce those secondary characteristics we talked about.
How long does that take?
Changes vary. Voice deepening might start becoming noticeable within, say, 6 months. Facial hair growth can take much longer, maybe 3 to 5 years to really reach its plateau. It's a gradual process.
And just like with progesterone, you can block testosterone's effects too. Anti-androgens.
Exactly. Anti-androgens block testosterone receptors or reduce testosterone production. They have various uses. Some are used in certain types of hormonal contraception. They can help manage conditions like acne or hirsutism, excess hair growth in women with polycystic ovary syndrome, PCOS, where androgen levels might be slightly high.
And in cancer.
Crucially, yes. In prostate cancer, many tumors are dependent on testosterone for growth. So anti-androgen therapy, or androgen deprivation therapy, is a cornerstone of treatment. They're also sometimes used in psychiatry, carefully, to manage conditions like hypersexuality disorder.
Wow. It's amazing how we can tweak these hormonal systems for so many different therapeutic goals. We have covered an absolutely incredible amount of ground today, just circling back the sheer complexity, the interconnectedness of the whole reproductive system, the anatomy, the physiology, the hormonal control. It's truly mind-boggling how it all fits together.
It really is. And if we connect this to the bigger picture, maybe a final thought for people to chew on. Consider how precisely manipulating these intricate hormonal axes allows us not just to treat disease, but really to exert profound control over life itself, from preventing it with contraception to initiating it with fertility treatments. What deeper implications does that hold? For our understanding of human biology, sure, but maybe even for our societal norms and ethics around life. It certainly gives you pause, doesn't it?
That is a truly thought-provoking question to end on. Gives us all something to think about. Thank you for joining us on this deep dive into these amazing systems working inside us all. We hope you keep pondering these biological marvels.